What is going on, All-Terrain Nation? Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or any of these autos you drive, this is your All-Terrain Nation, and I'm your host, David Boyd, alongside Mr. Overlanding for Fun, Bronco Santa, as he's known in some communities. Mr. Tim, what are you doing, buddy? What are you over there, combing the beard, getting
I
ready?
am combing the beard.
Man,
That's right. It's July, about 6 more months, five more months till Christmas, I think.
yeah, the studio's looking good, dude. You've done some remodeling since last night.
Yeah, my wife made me put the fire up.
Oh, well, that stinks.
Yeah.
But Tim, you've had a good Tuesday, I hope, man. I've had a boring one, man. I've been stuck at home, so.
Man, how's everybody feeling today?
Kelly's doing pretty good. And thanks for Peugeot for asking it in the chat. She's just worn out. Just what COVID does to you, it just wears you out a little bit. And it is what it is. I had to do the old testing. I stayed home today, and I'm negative. Damn it. But I've done my COVID for the year. I don't want to do it again. But
bring on the Rona.
That's right, man. That's right. But tonight we're not talking about Chinese or whatever made diseases or viruses. We're talking about cars. And we're going to talk about some things that might be failing, some companies that might be failing. But first off, you guys know the drill. I have to say it. What's up, Big O? Bronco Satan.
Bronco Satan.
Kyle,
I'm gonna get some sketches worked up on that one.
Peugeot nurse AJ is in the house. Let's see. The Big O Dirk is in the house. Michael is in the house. Let's see who else we got going on here. We got Mobile. I think Mobile just lives here, is what I think. I think he's in my live stream camping out. Like I don't even have one scheduled for next Monday, and he's camped out there somehow. But we do appreciate everybody jumping in. This is the happy hour, and I don't know that it's going to be super happy tonight because we're going to talk about GM. And Auto News reported some things coming out about the company is not looking good. But first off, everybody, I don't know what's in y'all's cup, but there's some Jack in here, and cheers, everybody. Oh man, I've always wait for that, man. Can't have my first drink of the day till we live stream. So I'm getting refreshed. I'm getting hydrated. I'm feeling the anger.
I feel like we would be starting earlier if that was truly the case, Dave.
No, I seriously this is my drink for the night, and I'll now the weekend. That's a whole nother story. We only go into the weekend.
There you go. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
Oh, that is true. What's up, Sandman? Michael Cooper. What? Frank B, legendary Frank B is in the house. Jonathan Mock E fan, man. Bronco 78. We got a few of them coming in here tonight, and happy to have you guys. So, Tim, we were kind of scrolling the news today, and of course, there's a few. There's always something to talk about, but there was a few things that came across the old news desk, and you brought to attention some Toyota stuff that we're going to get into a little bit later. Yep. But main topic tonight is General Motors, and they don't get a lot of talk here on the channel because they're not doing a lot of exciting things right now. The ZR2 just came out recently for the truck line. They've got a new EV Blazer that I didn't cover because it's just that's just boring product that I could spend a couple hours working up a video, and then guess what? I get 5 views.
And to be honest, the pictures I've seen look exactly like the 23 non-EV Bronco or Blazer.
Yeah.
It's the same body. There's no changes to it.
There is not. But let's I'm gonna bring this up. Do my homework here because I didn't get ready as usual. Per usual, I am not ready to go.
It's all good. We have been accused of pulling it out of our ass anyways. We might as well pull back the curtains and show them how we really do.
Hey man, whatever. You don't want to see how the magic happens.
There you go.
Don't want to pull that rabbit out of that hat. But So Auto News, their GM net income drops 40% in quarter 2 to 1.7 billion. Now you're like, oh man, 1.7 billion. That's a lot of cheddar. And while it is for me and you, for a company the size of GM, that's not. They need to be up in the games a little bit. They need to be in the almost teens of billions of dollars to be pretty profitable and make those shareholders happy. But Tim, this came across the old news desk, and did you have a chance to kind of look at it?
I looked at it, and I saw that overarching kind of excuse there, and it was it's a global chip shortage.
Oh man, there's always chip. I got to move this because can't move this to my screen over here.
Yeah.
I apologize. I forgot that I actually have to read these things. So that might help. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so Detroit, and this is per Auto News, and I would share this with you, but you have to have a subscription to read it. So that's how I'm able to share it this way, is because I pay for this. Trust me, this subscription's stupid expensive for what it is. General Motors on Tuesday reported 40% year-over-year decline in net income as revenue rose 4.7% in the second quarter, but the automaker said that it expects stronger results in the second half of the year. This confidence comes from our expectations that GM global production and wholesale deliveries will be up sharply in the second half, CEO Mary Barra said in a letter to shareholders. And I've got some thoughts about it, but I want you to kind of go into it of what is the state of General Motors in your opinion right now before we try to dig deeper into this topic.
Well, I honestly, I'm not a fan of General Motors, and I haven't been for some time. So
Right.
I'm going to say this with a grain of salt, but I generally am not excited by anything that I see coming out of them. They've had the Hummer, which, some would almost, well, I think actually you have questioned it. I think it's probably just a strain on the environment for that pig.
It's a gas guzzling EV,
right? As a gas equivalent. So, I mean, I don't even see where that vehicle in itself is a net positive for the environment.
Yeah.
The cars are kind of plain. Now they do have some nice concept vehicles that I've seen, like that Buick that we looked at that one time. That was really neat. But generally, I mean, I think overall, most of their vehicles, the really nice stuff is real highly priced or over. Well, I'm not gonna say overpriced, but it's expensive, and I don't know how they're gonna generate a lot of sales because economy is down, inflation is up, people are tightening their belts on expenses like that, and so where they might have would have spent 60, 70, 80, $90,000 for a vehicle a few years ago, maybe it's 40 or $50,000. And honestly, I don't see a whole lot in GM's lineup that falls in there. They've got a couple, dare I use the word, shit boxes that are in the $25,000 to $30,000 range, but that's not packing a family of four. It's essentially it's a two-door little car.
Right. Well, they Ford in what was it, 2017, late 17, early 18, somewhere in there, and came out and said, hey, we're no longer going to sell cars. We're going to do the Mustang. But after that, we're not selling cars because cars have not been profitable for Ford in a long time. And it's crazy, it's crazy to say that because that's what these things were started as. And Tim, we were talking about your audio, and now I can hear it in the background. But it's amazing to me that all these were all car companies. Trucks were secondary. Trucks were just a utility vehicle that, it was a necessary evil. And now that's all these companies want to sell. But when Ford did that in late 17, early 18, whenever that was, they had a plan. Well, when Ford does something, generally the rest of the industry seems to jump on what Ford does. And it wasn't, I don't think it was 2 months later, GM's like, you know what? We're done selling cars too. We're out. We can't sell a car. Why not? And of course, then you've got FCA or Stellantis, as they're known now, who is I don't think people even know sell cars anymore. I don't think they know Chrysler as a brand. So it wasn't, when they said it, nobody paid attention because they were like, well, you guys make cars? What are you talking about? Yeah. But with GM, it doesn't seem to be, they have this CEO, Ms. Barra, in charge, and I never get any kind of when I listen to her talk, she seems like she's a PR person first, and maybe down the line, third or fourth in her job description is being a CEO. She doesn't seem, I don't see confidence with her when she talks. And this has nothing, by the way, nothing to do with her being a lady, because I know plenty of kick-ass women in this industry that when they talk, you listen. But when I see this lady talking, I don't get a lot of confidence. And then when I see, they roll out, oh, the big thing was, oh, the EV Hummer. Oh man, we're going to change the game with this thing. And had, like you were talking earlier, if they would have just done that as a concept vehicle, being that big pig, and then did like that H3 version, did something smaller, scaled down, maybe a little easier to build, something they can share parts with other platforms, maybe that would have been better. That's what Ford did with the Lightning. Ford went into the Lightning fast. That thing wasn't in development a long time. Ford was way behind in the electric hybrid segment. They were not a leader in that division. So when Ford decided to do a Lightning, how did they do that the best, most efficient way? You use what you already have. So they took the F-150 platform, not heavily modified, but they were able to fit a battery under that chassis. A lot of the parts, yes, it does look different, but there's a lot of similarities. The interior of that thing is pretty much all F-150. But with GM right now, they seem to be like, oh, we've got to redesign the whole thing. And the Silverado EV launch, I have a reservation on that thing. I have zero confidence in when I'll ever see that vehicle, if I ever see it, because the brand doesn't, like, they were all about the Hummer EV. I saw the thing. I went and I did a walk around video on the thing. I saw it at SEMA. The thing is huge. And even the SUV that they've got coming out with this thing is huge. And they tout 400 miles or whatever range, but nobody's getting that kind of mileage. The quality of that vehicle is horrendous. There's stories of people picking it up. They have a thunderstorm at their house that night. The interior is soaking wet because the roof panels are leaking so bad. They're only building like 20 a day right now. There's no way to be a profitable EV company if you can only build 20 a day. People laughed at what Tesla was doing early on, and Tesla, ramped it up and was able to, they're cranking them out now. But I don't know with the brand as far as confidence. You guys in the comments below, let me know what you guys think on the brand in general. I have a poll up about the brand because I grew up in a GM household. My dad is a diehard General Motors. For trucks, he wants the Silverado. He wants Chevy for their trucks, but he has a little GMC Terrain for their SUV. They've had the Trailblazers in the past. They were big on the Blazers, the old 4-door square body Blazers, the little S10, S15 chassis. They were real big on those. Love those. Those were solid vehicles, and I don't see it anymore, man. There's nothing in that brand, and I want to pull this up. Let me pull this down real quick because I want to pull up their website at the moment, and I just want to glance real quick at what we don't see there, because I'm pretty it's pretty shocking to you actually see their website. It's you don't know. So this is the front of house for their all new Blazer EV there. It just everything about Chevrolet and their SUVs, they just seem to want to make a big version, then mimic it smaller and smaller. No originality to it. I did think the last Blazer, the look of it was pretty cool. Kind of had some Camaro elements to it. There's nothing that I've seen about this vehicle that is real exciting. Tim, have you looked over this at all?
I have, and just looking at that side profile of it, if you look at the rear end, it slopes down, which tells me not much in the way of cargo capacity.
Yeah.
Which we talked about that in the past. I think so, some of the big enthusiasm with the Maverick and some of these smaller trucks is that somebody wants something they can haul a TV around in, but don't want to get stuck having to move their buddy's apartment.
Yes.
That's my personal thing.
Right.
I don't want to, that's why I don't have a truck. I don't want to move anybody's apartment.
Right. But look here. So this estimated starting price is going to be $44,995. As shown is $65,000. We were talking privately earlier about, we're potentially in a recession. Inflation's through the roof. This is a family car. How many families do you know that just want to go throw $65,000 at a SUV like this? No matter if it's gas powered or EV, you're getting into at $65,000, you're $1,600 a month probably on a car payment. If you're doing, now they're almost doing 90-month car payments now because these cars are getting so ridiculous. But I would say 60 to 72 months. that's a big commitment and a big price tag. My first house was $700 a month, so
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
trippy.
you cut down the more expensive you get, you cut down the number of people that can afford it. And $65,000, put that in perspective, that's more than a fully loaded Bronco.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's one different than the other. I mean, it still seats 4 people. It's got some cargo space, and I can do quite a bit more for a little bit less.
Yeah, your top comes
You
off.
know, but I got to deal with the rough noise a little bit, and
Yeah.
maybe some water leaking in there every
Well,
once in a
I would
while.
imagine this is pretty quiet on the road. All the EVs, the next EV problem they have right now for, and this is not EV talk, by the way. We will not just
Yeah,
stay on EVs, but
damn EV.
road noise is a real thing for EVs now because people are hearing the tires. They're so quiet. So, yeah, there's people complaining about this, but I will say the design of this thing is not inspiring at all. Look at the little square, probably LED light of some sort there hiding under the light bar. I don't that looks like almost like their last work truck, the way they did the lights.
It's a
It's
lot
just
of plastic.
yes,
It's
man.
a lot of plastic, and I think in general, that's part of the problem with a lot of the new cars today is that there's a lot of plastic in them.
Yep. But let's see if there's anything else on this thing. Up to 320 miles for a full charge, but that's if you buy their extended range, if I remember right. And part of the problem too with this is everybody's stuck on the 0 to 60 times. And of course, EVs, in reality, I think if your body could withstand it, I think they could shove your body through a seat if they really wanted to, and the rubber actually sticks to the ground. That's how much power they really have. But there's as far as this, there's nothing exciting. As you can see at the top here, they've got a Bolt EV, they got a Bolt EUV, they got a Blazer EV, the Silverado EV, and guess what? Other than the Bolt, you really can't get any of these things yet. So it's how is Chevrolet with profits if you're not selling what you're marketing? Here is their which one is this one? The Equinox. Boring looking. Just not there's nothing exciting about this thing. And I think that's why Ford got away from some of this stuff. Yeah, the SUVs for families are, that's some bread and butter there. But if you can't do it exciting, like, who would have thought the Bronco Sport for Ford I would have never thought it's selling like it is, because people want original looking vehicles. They don't want something like, if you saw this next to a Hyundai, next to a Honda, next to something else in a long distance where your vision was just slightly blurry, I guarantee you couldn't tell me which one was which.
Well, something else, and I think GM's probably had a bigger problem with all of its brands underneath it using the same vehicle.
Mm-hmm. They've done that
making some minor cosmetic changes to them,
Yep.
and and putting it under another label. Ford's done that with Ford and Mercury. Some of them carried over into Lincoln too, but it wasn't as bad. I mean, it was always. I remember growing up and through the 80s and 90s when GM had a lot more brands that they like, kind of looked weird. I just I can't think of any other way of saying it, but it just looked weird, and to that point, it just okay, yep,
well,
it's a Saturn.
Okay, nope. So here is their lineup,
Oldsmobile.
which, if I remember right, the Trax is going away after this year. So it's their little entry level, basically a little entry level car.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get into the Trailblazer, and then the bigger Equinox, into the bigger Blazer, which goes into the bigger Traverse, which goes into the bigger Tahoe, and then the bigger Suburban. But look at Suburban to Tahoe. Yes, I know it's a slight size difference, but you're starting out at $50,000 to $54,000 there for the big one if you've got a big family. The Traverse, which has been a relative hit for the brand, it came out swinging, looking different. Now what have they done? That they have this design cue that they just shove into the everything, and GM is really bad about this. I mean, they find one design cue and it's kind of what Dodge and Ram was doing back in the late 90s when the hit, the 1500 came out, and it kind of had that Peterbilt look, the long grill, and it had that little crosshair front grill to it. And then they started shoving it into the neon, into everything. And it kind of that hurt that brand. Well, what have they done? Look, if you look at the grills of these things, they're damn near almost identical in everything. I mean, only the Equinox there looks a little bit different from the Blazer, but size wise, they're relatively close. Everything, is I know size wise, and there's a price point for everything, and you want a price point by a couple thousand per vehicle, something for every budget to kind of get into. But when we start getting into those EV prices, the 40, what was it, $49,000, something like that, starting out for that Blazer.
Yeah.
Where for EV with this brand, it seems like you would have been better to start out like they were with the Bolt. Go over here to their electric vehicles with the Bolt, something like that. Make that really catch on. They've never done a good job. People, when this Bolt came out, it was when the Nissan Leaf came out. And honestly, you just got, at the time, they were both about 80 miles, I think, for a full charge. But you got a little bit more vehicle with the Nissan, and it's hard to kind of say that you got more vehicle with the Nissan. And then, once Tesla got rolling, Tesla was smart. They were like, no, I'm not doing entry level. Let those guys battle over the scraps. I'm going for the big money. But the brand in itself, they've tried to do this entry level, and they've never been able to really make this work. And now, what was it, 2 years ago, the CEO came out and said, hey, by 2030, we're all EV. And you're like, for one, they're not. They're never commercial vehicles. They'll separate that, like Ford has kind of done with their Ford Plus, or whatever they call it, Blue Oval, and Ford. They will definitely separate those two brands eventually. But there's no way I see this brand right now being able to go all EV with the sales numbers that we're seeing right now.
Well, I think they're definitely going to have to do a better job of getting vehicles out there, and I think pretty much for all manufacturers.
Yes,
and I think they're going to have to get their prices under control. Interesting, something I mentioned to you earlier. Cadillac and in its Escalade V Series starts at 149,000, and it's showing in here on this thing for 150,000. Now, something that caught my eye.
Can you share that screen with me? We'll plop it up here so everybody can play along.
Yeah, let's see here.
I love playing with technology in the middle of a live show, but let's see if Tim can do it. He's under pressure. Is that a droplet of sweat on his forehead? Is it going to get done?
No. How do you hide the screen?
How do you go into F11?
Is it F11?
Yeah.
That's a calculator.
Well, are you Apple or what?
I don't know.
I don't know. Big O says not when the Lightning is under 40K. Of course, finding those Lightnings under 40K is pretty rough. Our buddy Coderman, his Lightning was built, and that's gonna be pretty exciting. Did you share it?
I'm gonna.
Oh, okay. I thought I seen you were ready to go on that. Drum roll.
Yeah. Does it? Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. Bam.
There we go. Add to stream.
Sorry. Yeah, but think as an IT professional,
I know.
Myself, I would have known this right off the top of my head. But
hey, look at this Sport Platinum, 106,000.
Yeah, I'm talking the V Series.
No, I know.
Something that caught my eye: 6.2 liter supercharged V8. It's 682 horsepower. So right up there with the TRX and the Raptor R.
Yep.
In a sleeper.
Yep. And why Ford's not doing that's the next Raptor for Ford, is an Explorer or something like that.
I don't know, man. But okay, so I'm going to give them some props on this, but there we are at $150,000, and we were balking at 106 for the Raptor R, and 80,000 for the base TRX on up. So
I think the V Series comes with your very own driver, though.
I don't know.
I think
do you drive barefooted and it massages your feet while on the pedals, or
you don't even
what do you get? I don't know.
You don't even drive anymore, Tim.
Yeah.
It drives you. It's like in Russia. Car drive you. But no, but this is a prime example of the brand. So okay, we're gonna be an EV brand. As General Motors said, they want to be EV. Why are you building a $150,000 SUV? You're not Maybach or whatever, Maybach. You're not that brand, and that Cadillac especially has always been mismanaged. They were in the 90s. It was still grandma's car. You know, they had this high performance. Haggerty's did a good video on the Cadillac recently, the Blackwing, and they talked about this a little bit of you know, in the 50s, 60s, Cadillac was known for not high performance, but you were always going to get the big engine. Just going to get some luxuries, but it was kind of an upper class high performance vehicle. And through the 70s, they kind of lost on that. The vehicles got bigger. You know, they always had the big block engine or a peppy little small block, but they slowly started losing that. By the 80s, they became very bland. By the 90s, they didn't know what they were. And if you remember when the Matrix 2 came out, which is weird talking movies, but when the Matrix 2 came out, that was when they brought out one of their, what was it? Oh gosh, I forget because they changed the name of their cars all the damn time. Whatever. It was a new design.
I'm going to make a prediction. Mobile Moto will have the answer.
I think him or in Peugeot will.
But they probably should have had the answer before
when I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
But it was cool. They came out with this cool new design. You know, it's very square body oriented, very aggressive looking. And guess what they did? They never really updated any of that. And you get into the early 2000s and everything. Once again, it's like Cadillac got forgot about. They mismanaged all the brands. And of course, they did it with Pontiac. You know, when they collapsed in 9, when the government had to take them over, the government required, hey, you've got to lose a few brands. Well, they'd already gotten rid of Oldsmobile, I think, by 2006, which was a well underperforming brand. You've got Buick right now. The only thing saving Buick is that's a luxury car in China. That's it. And that all rolls back to World War II era, when that's what was shipped over that way. They love that car. They love that brand for some weird reason, but that brand would be gone. Should be gone. So then you lose Pontiac, which was their kind of you know, hey, we're not sports. It was kind of a muscle car brand, really, when obviously the age of muscle cars are gone. But they were doing some interesting things. The Firebird and the G8 was really cool. Of course, Pontiac did that weird thing. Let's change everything to a G number. Let's lose the Bonnevilles and all the cool names. Let's rebrand ourselves, you know, which doesn't ever seem to work out. That's not a quick turn of the boat, you know. That's a long-term play, and they didn't survive it. And now we're looking at Cadillac is either wants to be a mid-price kind of luxury brand, and obviously now they want to battle with the Mercedes and some of the higher brands there. But then you got Chevrolet. Chevrolet was always the working class vehicle. I'm looking at these let's go to their electrics back again, because that's where I hate to beat up on them, but that's where you can beat up on them a little bit. But this Silverado EV, the what is it? The RSR or whatever they call that. It's going to be $80,000 to $100,000 for their high-end version of this. High-end version of this thing is going to be that much. It's ridiculous. And what do you get? You know, TFL did the video with Ford and the Lightning. Can't tow anything. I mean, sure, it can tow your house, 20,000 pounds or whatever, for about a mile. And we were talking privately earlier with EVs, you know, they need to lower the horsepower. Stop with this. Oh, we can give you 1,000 horsepower. It's not even a fair comparison to me, the EV horsepower versus gasoline. I just don't think it's a fair comparison anymore, because, you know, electric torque is just instantly, the power's instantly, where gas obviously is, you know, combustion takes a second to get going. But if GM would say, like, if they would take Chevrolet and go, look, we're going to build this little truck, we'll do a high performance, the RST version that's showing right here. Yeah, it's going to be $90,000, $100,000 or whatever. But past that, we're going back to our roots. We're a blue collar brand, and we're going to do if it's $40,000 or whatever a lower tier of this thing is. And guess what, America? We're going to sell you the shit out of these things. Every household gets a Chevrolet vehicle. That's how we want to approach this. We want to be the most approachable brand. So be it. I can see them doing that, and they're going to lose money on EVs. You know, we're talking earlier about the price of these things. Well, God, Jesus Christ, you talk about gasoline powered, you know, that we all battle over oil right now, right? That's the big thing of why we shouldn't be gasoline is, oh, what it does to the environment, the cost to do business with the Saudis and all that. The the materials to make this thing work are in countries you not want to deal with. Countries, that do not want to deal with you. And that's the primary source to make these things work is in countries like that, Tim. It's
Yep.
I don't get it.
I feel like we're making a deal with the devil to
Yeah.
to convert over to EV. And once again, I have no problems with EV. Buy what you want.
Yeah.
I just want to know that when I press the pedal down, I get the giddy up and go that I need.
Yep.
And you know, like I said, I don't mind. I don't mind EV. I rode in a Tesla for the first time here a week or so ago.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with it.
Nice
And it
cars.
threw me back into the seat. But that's only so much of it. I mean, the big thing is that how far can you take that family of 4 on a trip before you have to stop and wait for half an hour to an hour to charge back up
Oh
again?
yeah.
And in some cases that might be a good thing. I'm personally that 6 to 8 hours at a time. So if I have to stop 4 hours for an hour, to take a break and charge up, maybe that's not a bad deal. But I definitely I see people trying to get across the country and
Yeah, there's a
go visit somebody because they can't afford to fly right now because the airline tickets are up. Um, there's that consistency side of this that I would be concerned about.
yeah, and of course Lone Wolf's like, what about charging these vehicles? That's a whole nother we've beat that poor dead horse to death about charging. Our infrastructure is not built for this at all. But as GM as a company, so we're back to here's once again, it's a Chevrolet that's stupid expensive. So do you think if General Motors would have been like, look, we're going to do we're going back to our roots. GMC is our workhorse because that's what GMC as a brand was. Somehow they've turned it kind of into a luxury truck brand, but that was the bread and butter work truck. If you wanted something stupid affordable, that's what you got. And Chevrolet, obviously, like I said earlier, make Chevrolet your blue collar. That's your working man's vehicle, and then Cadillac, and that's it.
So, hey, Dave, I don't know if you saw it, but in the chat, I was scanning when we were talking about EVs and GM. I did see that Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Review. I think I saw where he's gonna purchase a Bolt for a long-term review for his channel.
Wow, how's his 4-channel going to deal with?
Yeah,
with,
actually, I think what he's gonna buy that for the long-term review, but it's really for Winston.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think every dog needs its own vehicle.
Oh well, yeah, or maybe 3
or 3,
as it were. Let's see here. Let's get out of here a minute. But I want to go back to the brand itself just a little bit, and this is just me picking on Chevrolet. And once again, I don't pick on Chevrolet because it's fun to do. My dad is a diehard Chevy guy, and I grew up in that household. I wanted a Silverado or whatever they were, C10s when I was a kid, badly. Like that was my dream full size truck, was to have something like that. And the older I get, obviously, in doing what I do now, I'm the less brand loyal. You guys know me from Broncos a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm not loyal to Bronco. I just love that little vehicle. It doesn't mean anything. But what else does Chevy have?
You just love how that vehicle makes you feel.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's what you love.
Here's the last thing they really have of any value, and that is the Corvette. Now, this in a Silverado full-size truck is about the only value Chevrolet has. Everything else, it does make them a little bit of money, but to be honest, Corvette is a staple. It's it's like American, it's like apple pie. It's an American sports car. It's something that Ford has never been able. I love the GT. I think the GT is my favorite kind of supercar. I don't know where you really place the GT, but I love the design of that car. But you cannot get more American than the Corvette. Of course, man, it's having a revival like we've not seen, man. The Corvette, way over MSRP, still what people are paying for these things, though it is coming down. And then you got the old classic Camaro, which they've killed once, and this is the last year of Camaro. They're talking about replacing it with a 4-door Camaro. Makes no sense. And there's even hints of Corvette getting a like a Yaris or a Urus, whatever the Lamborghini little 4-door super SUV, we'll call it, whatever that you would classify that thing. They want to do that with the Corvette.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that little Toyota shitbox.
No, not that's the Yaris. The somebody in a comment will correct me, but they know what I'm
that
talking
thing
about.
is so small they have to put the instrument cluster in the middle of the.
Oh yeah. But so the Corvette is it is a money making machine. Don't get me wrong. It says starting out at 64.2. You're never going to find one for that. You're in the 80s
something.
Well, yeah, that's with markup. But I like we got the 23, which Sean, one of our viewers, is getting one of these Z06s, and he's always telling me about it. And he does have a normal Stingray now. And he has a Bronco. Talk about hitting the trifecta. But Z06, 105 starting out, which that you're not going to be able to touch those. I think he told me he priced his out. It was 140,000 after options, MSRP, something like that. But what else does this brand have? The Camaro, look at the Camaro next to that Stingray, looks old as can be. You know, and part of GM's thing, you know, they had that deal with Transformers movies. Oh, we want to showcase the Camaro. It's going to be the new Bumblebee, all this. Guess what? It was in a movie like 3 years before you could get the car. By the time I saw the cars on the dealership lots, it was old looking. It's like the leadership of the brand. I don't understand the focus. Obviously, there's some PR to that, but I'm only focusing on Chevrolet. I will definitely go over to let's go over to GMC and see what they have to offer. Because I'll be honest, I haven't looked at GMC in quite a while. I couldn't tell you what, because this brand does nothing for any kind of news for my channel. But let's see. So there's I did a video on this, the AEV edition of the Sahara AT4X. That's cool, but that's not a vehicle everybody's buying. That's a very limited vehicle. What else they got? All right, here's our lineup, man. We got a Canyon that's old as snot. The Sahara 1500, which I do like the front end of that better than the Chevrolet. I must admit, I do like, if I would do an ATX 4X in a heartbeat, I do like that truck. And then you get in the HD stuff, and then you got the old pig down there, the GMC Hummer EV. Okay,
how do you forget they're getting the SUV version?
Well, there is that, but we can't showcase anything. It's not on the website just yet. How do you keep this brand going? GMC, like, seriously, I know it's a little plusher, a little nicer, but if GM would take and do away with GMC, the GMC buyers would move to Chevrolet, and GMC for a lot of cases would be the top selling truck, or Chevrolet would be. This brand is kind of goofy. You know, it has its own marketing arm. There's a cost, there's a burden on the company. Because each platform does have their own PR teams. They have their own budget for that stuff. And that's you wouldn't believe what I know on some of the press trips that I've been on, what they cost at the end of the day for, I think they sent 20 of us out. It was deep in the six figures, what that trip cost these companies, and try doing that about 20, 30 times a year. That's a lot of money just for this brand's sake. Merge all this shit together, man. It doesn't make sense. Where you at with GMC, Tim? Anything there interest you?
No, not really. And for the most part, it's a Chevy model with some different badging on it. I mean, it doesn't really stand out. And to your point, why are they wasting the money? If they're going to kill off a brand, or merge the two together.
Yeah.
It's a Chevy GMC, whatever, and call it a day and move on. Save yourself a few bucks.
Well, like what you're
Give
saying,
back to the shareholders.
Yeah. There's the GMC Hummer. Come on, Hummer was its own brand name that they had to kill when they were collapsing, and they couldn't give it away. They were trying to. They did everything they could to sell the Hummer brand.
Yeah.
They ended up selling the plant in Louisiana, if I remember right. They were making I want to say they were making the H3s and the S10s and stuff down that way, if I remember right. But Yeah, no, they couldn't give that brand away, and finally, clearly, it paid off. They were reusing it somehow. But as far as this brand, there's not there. This is a money suck on the brand that's already losing money. But now let's go to Buick because why not? I like once again. I haven't seen what that brand's doing in a long time. Whoa, holy cow, look at this. That's excitement, Tim.
0% APR for grandma and grandpa's car.
That's right, man. Now this
I just-
here, this
Yes.
here, what this concept, I forget what they call this. This was a bitchin' concept.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that a couple months back.
Mhm. Love that thing. But after that, let's go to their vehicles. Wow, we've got so this is the Trax or whatever Chevrolet called it. Obviously, the Traverse or whatever, obviously it's the same vehicles. Like you were saying earlier, GM has this problem with they just rehashed the platform into a slightly different look. And this Envision almost looks like it looks like a cross between a Mazda and a Chevrolet. No design excitement there at all. They're so boring. They're having to redo their brand logo. The next year they go into that the concept vehicle where they're just putting the little flags together. But no, there's nothing here. So this once again, this is a money suck. Leave it in China. If that's a popular brand in China, there's no reason other than a golf tournament, which I see Buick somehow seems to sponsor a lot of golf tournaments.
Old people again.
Yeah.
Old people. But if I'm not mistaken, doesn't GM manufacture Buick in China?
Some of it they've had, and some of these now are getting to be where they're designed for the Chinese market, and we're secondary to get these vehicles. Yeah, which was a big thing when my mother-in-law worked for GM. She, there was a big in the mid 2000s. They were shoving a lot of design stuff was going to Australia, which was great because U.S. audiences couldn't see what they were playing around with down there, so they would move a lot of that there, and then it started going to China, and and there was a bit they had to come teach the Chinese how to do their job. And let me tell you, the union employees were not happy about that.
I bet.
Oh man, but
there's when you got to go up to Canada and teach them how to do their jobs.
Oh yeah, eh? Oh yeah. We're hunt the moose up there, eh?
Yeah.
You would grab a couple brews and we'd just go up there. We'll go.
Really now?
Oh yeah, we'll go do some ice fishing. Go out to the lake and out in Manitoba. We'll go way out there. And Becky, she just she goes on and on, blah 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 about I go ice fishing, but that's just
Becky.
that's Becky. That's
Becky. That's a lot.
But as far as a brand,
there's
6 vehicles here. These 6 vehicles need to be a brand? In my opinion, not at all. Where you at in the comments, guys? I'm sorry, I've been on a rant stage here, so I haven't seen much of the comments.
There's not even much distinction between those.
No,
but just looking at them here on paper.
Yeah, this Envision looks like the luxury version, the Encore. Oh, so basically it's 3. You got Encore and the Encore GX, which I will say I've seen these little Encore GXs in person. I kind of like them. I feel like you could drop one a little bit, make it a fun little SUV. But the Envision, then you got the do what?
Put some 22s on it.
Oh yeah, you're damn right. Tow my boat. Yeah, we take the boat down there and go do some fishing. But the Envision, and then we've got the new Enclave, not the old one. This is the new. This is the new one. But so you have 3 vehicles. That is not worth. That's not worth keeping a brand around at all. How do you justify? I know I always say a brand is worth $1 billion each nameplate. If you're not, I guarantee you the sales. We could look up the sales figure on Buick, and you'd laugh.
You know what? I tell you what, that would be an interesting thing because I'm going to say there's a lot of older drivers that are seriously brand loyal to that.
I don't see them at the 5 o'clock buffets anymore, Tim. I don't see Buicks there. I drive by, sometimes just looking for
the MCL cafeteria.
Yeah, I go by looking for those. What are those alerts they have when the older people get lost?
Silver
alerts. There's no.
The problem is that by 5 o'clock, if you cruise past the cafeteria, the MCL cafeteria or wherever, by 5 o'clock they're pretty much clearing out. It's usually there by 3:30 to 4.
That's my problem.
So that's called geriatric park.
So when I'm Gulf shopping, there's no.
Gulf?
Okay, yeah,
Well, Oh boy.
I'm gonna make pinball show there.
That's a subjective term now. You know,
Oh, I'm fired up.
I
Oh, what else do we got from
I
General
mean,
Motors?
they could be
Let's do the
30 in a
Cadillac.
Gilf. I mean,
I spelt it wrong, but it came out. Thank you, Google.
now, hey, something that we didn't talk about before we get off of GM, going back to Corvettes. Did you see where Chevy is going to pay Corvette owners to
Yes,
hang on to their car for a year?
but they can't.
So
They're
they
coming up
can't
with
flip them.
points or something like
Yeah, it's like 5,000 rewards points or whatever.
the credit points, and they can't. They're fighting amongst
Yep.
GM is fighting amongst themselves about how do we do that, and then, or they're talking about taking the warranty. They were talking about taking the warranty away. It's not transferable, but there's no way to stop that.
Yeah.
At all.
So 500,000 points, which works out to be about 50,000. I'm sorry, about $5,000 in value.
Which for servicing and stuff, I would use that in a heartbeat. Now here's Cadillac, man. Talk about a brand that has no purpose other than we're Cadillac. You think of Cadillac, you think of luxury. You've got the Escalade V. You've got the Lyric, the XTC. Or 6, Jesus, the XT5 and the XT4. So you got the 4-cylinder, I don't know if this one has a 6 in it or not, and then you can get up into the little bit bigger boy.
Doesn't that just fall right back into what you were talking about with was it Oldsmobile that or Pontiac that slapped G in front of everything?
Mm-hmm. No, that's what I was saying. So they had the C's, and maybe the sedans are
somebody pulled out the 1995 marketing plan.
Yep. So here's the C's. They used to be CVTs or something. I forget what they were calling everything. But they change their name every couple of years. Like, it's confusing for buyers. If you wanted to go, man, my dad had whatever a couple of years ago. I'd like to have something a little more modern version of that car. I couldn't tell you how you searched it with Cadillac at all. But Cadillac actually has a few vehicles. I did a build and price on this Blackwing. And the CT the 5, what a hot rod that is. And you can get it in a manual transmission. A badass.
That's a nice looking coupe.
Yes, man. I do like Cadillacs. And I like the rebranding, how they've stretched their logo out a little bit, made it look a little bit different. Let's see their V series. So here's their little bit more fun vehicles. Once again, there's that Escalade V, Tim. Has shown 150,000. You know.
So, the one thing I'm thinking back, you had talked about that a little bit earlier, but the Cadillac, I remember as a kid in the 70s, the Cadillac, the 70s and 80s, was that working man's car. I retired. I've worked my ass off.
Yeah.
And I'm buying something to show for it. And it was
my gold watch when I retired.
It was like a working man's trophy, I guess, from saying that I've busted my rear, and here it is, and so, but I don't see that with these cars. I don't.
No, because they're trying to compete with the German cars, and Buick tried to do that as well. Buick for a long time wanted to look exactly like BMW. If you look at some of the mid 2015 Buicks, and you look at some of the BMW stuff, they almost ripped the grills and everything off. It's pretty bad. But Buick or Cadillac would really like to be Mercedes. That's exactly what they would like to be. And why I mean, obviously there's through the 80s and 90s, the Germans really came into they started getting their quality to be a little bit better by the 90s. They were somewhat dependable. You could get a 3 Series BMW, I forget what they would have, probably late 28, 29,000 at the time, which was a pretty nice vehicle for that price. But guess what the Germans did? They started making their vehicles. They do a high-end vehicle. You can pay $100,000 easily, but let's play in the $30,000 range a little bit. And they just took these guys out, took their knees out from under them. And now you're left with a brand that this year they want to be the kind of sports sedan. Next year, who knows? It's a grandma's car again. But I'm not shitting on the brand itself, because I think Cadillac, as far as GM, is some of the more exciting looking vehicles. I love this Blackwing. I'm telling you, man, you wait till that hits the used market.
Can we look in there and look at the colors that are available on it?
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious.
I did a build and price on these things. They're pretty badass. Let's see. So you want there's another Blackwing from her. No, all right. So here it is. The CT5. No, I don't need any bullshit. Let's see. CT5V Blackwing. So it's got the 6.2 liter hand built, because all motors are hand built, but
supercharged.
Yeah. V8, 6-speed manual, or you can get a 10-speed automatic. 668 horsepower, and look at these torque figures: 659 foot-pound of torque, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, which is ridiculous for this car. Top speed 200 miles an hour on a racetrack, of course. But that's starting out at $83,000. But the thing with GM that you can always do with their high-end cars like this, that people get confused on what this year's high performance vehicle is, in 5-6 years you'll be able to buy one of these Blackwings for $25,000 easily, and you've got one bitchin' hot rod. I'm telling you, man, these with the manual, the 6-speed manual, it's going to be such a fun car on the like I said, 6 maybe 7 year market. That's going to be a little hot rod. In some cases, maybe you can get them for $15,000. That's the thing I've noticed with some brands. They start increasing in value. There becomes right now 90s BMWs are really popular. People want the little 328s and stuff. They want it's either plays to your childhood, a car you couldn't have when you were young, but you can kind of have that now. But there's some cool looking vehicles. GM doesn't seem to survive the secondary markets as well. I mean, yes, the Corvette's always there's a place for that vehicle, but past that, there's nothing as far as heritage of this company besides. Can you name a heritage vehicle from GM in the last 20 years that you would go, oh yeah, that was a classic?
Well, I would say the Camaros, and but not this latest generation. The generation previous to that, though, the one they did before they stopped doing.
Yeah, the little pointy nose ones.
The 90s, yeah, kind of the throwback. I think
I had a Firebird.
They also come out with Pontiac came out with
I had a Firebird. I had a 95 Firebird, if I remember right. Of course, I had the little 3.6 or 3.8. All I could afford was the V6 in it, manual transmission. But no, and my sister had the last year, I think it was 2001 was the last year they did Camaro, and she had the LT1 engine in it. Dude, that thing was a little rocket ship. Yeah. And if you hit a pedestrian, they just slide like a slip and slide right over your hood of your car, because the way the nose of that thing pointed down. But I can't think of any car they do in the past 20 years that you go, man, that was a classic. Because I look at okay, so when they brought Camaro back, I see those on the streets now and they look cheap. Something about them, they just look cheap. Now I think the current generation Camaro, I think it's a really good looking car. The interiors of them, I love the raciness, the very throwback of the dash that they do in those vehicles. But you're talking what's a Camaro run now? I have no idea. I'll pull it up, but
no.
A decent price Camaro at 60,000 probably.
Is that before or after they kill the brand off again?
Well, I'm talking right now. Let's see. I'm curious what a Camaro will cost. The ZR2 platform Chevrolet, that's it. Maybe for truck lines, the Colorado, that I might go in 10 years. That might be a fun vehicle to give $10,000 for. Let's see. Performance. All right. Starting out at $25,000, Tim. Good luck. I don't know what you get for $25,000. I think they put a four-cylinder in these things now. As shown, look at that. LT1, $64,000 for that. You can get a Mustang. I'm pretty sure you can get a Mustang with a Coyote for 50s. That's just me popping it off the top of my head. Oh, Big O, by the way, if somebody needs a 454 block, I have one for sale. Let's see. But no, it's a good looking car. Don't get me wrong. That new Camaro, the way they've updated the front end of it, looks great. But they're doing away with it. It doesn't compete with the Mustang. They can't sell enough of these things to justify it. Because it's pretty much on its own platform.
Yeah.
They can't. That's where, like we've been talking, where with the brand, you've got all these cars, they all look somewhat similar. They're all built on the same platform. So it's easy to put some sheet metal on it. That's the easy part. So with the Camaro, if there was a Pontiac still, a Firebird, you could kind of justify going, okay, we've got two of these we're selling to different, price points. But no. I'm curious, do they do a 4-cylinder in this thing? I can't remember. I feel like they do. I don't think it's going to let us do a build and price because, once again, they're doing away with it. What are design package ones? What is this? That's LT1. Those are high end. Let's see what the RS is. Build. Let's build our RS1 here. Where is the configuration? See the interior of that thing? That's not a bad looking car. Not at all. Where is our motor options? Somebody in the comments probably already beat me to this one, but well, let's just do this. Hit summary. Does it give me a breakdown? Dude, their website sucks too for this stuff. Just
And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, everything that's got a little exclamation point next to it is constrained.
Yep.
In one way, shape, form, or another.
Yep. 2.0 liter, 2 liter. I don't know what I'm saying. No, turbo engine, 6-speed manual transmission for $26,000. And something that the EcoBoost line for Ford has done, they've done well presenting EcoBoost for whatever reason. It sounds powerful, but yet, it's not. It's going to be easy on gas. Whatever GM calls their 4-cylinders has never caught on. Their motor line of giving it a trendy name used to have Vortec. If you said Vortec, I knew it was a 4.3 V6. It was like a little small block almost V8. It was basically a V8 with the 2 cylinders chopped off. And you knew what it was. Like anymore, this brand, I don't get it. And if you want the bigger engine, you get the 3.6 V6 that used to be the small engine. But yeah, I'm
turbocharged.
Yeah. I'm lost. And then you go right to the 6.2. But so let's get some comments on the brand. I'm once again, I could probably spend 4 more hours in just beating this brand up. And GM reps. By the way, I like your cars. Don't get me wrong. If you made it to this far, GM reps, I do like your cars. If we're talking about you guys losing money, and we get back to this this article right here.
Yep.
As we kind of, I guess we can wind this part of the conversation down. If you're losing this kind of money, you've got to start taking some harder looks, and maybe that's where the board of GM needs to step up and have some balls about them and say, like, look, guys, it's time. We're in the future. We're not waiting for the future to get here. We are in the future. And let's just let's clean up a little bit, because I've said it for quite a while, Tim. You're going to see some merging of brands. It's for them to survive. The tech's expensive now. I feel like you're going to see Honda have to merge with somebody. I know they've rejected Nissan. Talked initially like, hey, let's merge together. Honda's out there on an island by themselves. Nissan's out there on an island by themselves. GM for a while gobbled up any company they could and then ruined them. So maybe they're right for the picking one of these days.
Could be.
Well, let's see. Once again, I apologize if I haven't paid much attention to the chat tonight.
And I think Johnny's comments are reflecting that too, by the way.
Johnny's fired. Johnny's in the chats tonight. I see that, man.
That's right.
Johnny and him is in his MR2. Johnny says the Blackwing looks great. That power is insane. Yes, it is. Let's see. The Blackwing.
Mobile Moto said it's Ecotech. That's the name of their.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That doesn't. I know you put tech in the back of it, and you're like, well, that should represent Vortec. Kind of. I don't know. For some reason, just doesn't. I don't hear that and go, man, I bet that's a kick-ass motor. With EcoBoost, when they came out with the little they were, all it was is a turbo engine but it was a cool way of them selling the future to us of like, oh, this is ecotech.
Yeah.
It's not turbo engine, it's ecotech. Let's see. Johnny says losing money, like David said, Buick is just for China. That is definitely sure. Yeah, there it is. Ecotech. Mobile's got me there. I knew he would. But it's a brand, guys. You guys seem to be all over the map with this. I think they're going to have, they're only basically 11 years out of being bankrupt, and if they don't do something in the next couple of years, you could see them go bankrupt again. And this time, I don't know that the politicians have enough clout to save them once again. I don't know how you would save a company like this in 2 times in 11 years. We're pretending right now, but I don't know how you would save a company like this and justify it to your constituents when it's time to be reelected.
Yeah, well, I think if they were to save it, they're going to do it in the form of subsidies for EVs, even more so. And I saw in there one of the articles where GM is getting like a $2.5 billion loan from some governmental agency for battery production.
Oh yeah, they've got their contracts. What was it? I forget who had the weird contract for it was like an open-ended contract to build the mail trucks. It wasn't GM, it was some
it's Oshkosh, I believe.
A company that has no business building any street vehicle basically has $1 billion, and it's an open-ended contract and they supposedly were going to build EVs, never built an EV in their life, and somehow they won a contract. But
actually, if it is Oshkosh, they make industrial EV, like fire engine stuff like that. It's heavy equipment, but it's EV.
Yeah, but I don't think it's
but not from a small on the road type thing.
One little topic before we get into the Toyota stuff, Tim. This came across the old news desk by Blueford, and I say appreciate it. This is for my Bronco people.
Do we have a tone? Do we have a exactly? There we go. We need to get some sound effects.
This was brought to you by the cool, refreshing taste of All-Terrain Nation. But for my Bronco people, IAG, I broke this on at Supercell East, and it's been a pretty popular video for me. That they were doing these removable cup holders, and for the Bronco, because Ford, in their brilliance, people don't need rear cup holders, Tim. Kids don't need that stuff. They'll just pour the drink.
Kids, water bottles at best. That's all they
wash out floors, man. You just let them pour it out there. It'll be fine. When we're going up to the lake there again, you hit some bumps and your drink just goes over, but you get your hose out there and you just, kind of wind it out. But these are pretty kick-ass, and I seen the prototype versions they were doing on this, and this is a better version. If I remember right, they're magnet-based, so it just snaps together. And when you want to fold your seats down in your 4-door Bronco, you just pop these right off. They do mount. There is a little bit of installation there, as you can see. You mount them on the interior, but that pops right out where your plugs are there, where they should have put an AC vent. It just pops out there, and you bolt it into the factory position, and you're ready to go for some good times with your cold beverages. But I wanted to acknowledge that. I get nothing from mentioning this by IAG, and I'm not friends with their social media person, if we'll leave it at that. But I like to mention good products, and I think they do build a good product. So now, Tim, we are going to here. We'll bring up my Facebook. Let's see. Where was it at? Was this it? Nope. That's the wrong one.
Nope, but that's another good one to kind of bring up.
You want to talk about? I'll let you talk about that for a minute.
Well, if we got some time.
Well, we've got time.
Yeah. I think everybody's gotten them, the car warranty scams. The FCC is finally starting to crack down on that, which will be nice. And not only are they going after the companies that are doing it, but now they're going to start to go after the telecommunications companies that are allowing it, which is kind of a change in policy, which I think is going to be good because quite honestly, I'm tired of it. I get them all the time, and hopefully that they can reduce those calls, but also take that model to some of the other scams that you get on the phone lines.
Yeah. The prince gonna mail you money and all that. Yeah.
So,
But here's the thing: is they're going to do away with the fake car warranty things, but then they're going to get embargoed by OnStar and everybody to activate your heated seats or whatever, because that's we hinted around a little bit last week about that, but there's you're about to pay for any service you want to use in your vehicle. No, you don't buy the vehicle now. You're just leasing options.
Yep.
You can buy the metal part, but you're just going to lease the services.
There was an article that I think and I sent to you about Tesla, and basically they're including those services in the cost of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But after 8 years, then you're gonna start to pay for it on a la carte type basis.
Yeah,
I think part of that is that they're gearing. Once again, you're basically renting a vehicle, as I think is the model that they want to take you to. You're paying as a service, a monthly fee.
Yep.
Here's your vehicle. You don't need it anymore. Fine, we'll take it back.
Tesla has mentioned this. That's how they would like to be.
And I think part of this is they're basically saying, we want this vehicle to have less than a 8-year shelf life.
Yeah.
But at some point, they want it recycled, because that's old tech. And if we're doing, unlike mechanical, technology stuff has a limited lifespan, and they want to get that off the market. It was kind of one of the things that killed the used car market when they did the cash for clunkers, was that, hey, you know what? You get rid of this car, you trade it in, we'll give you some money from the government, but that car has to be destroyed. And that killed the used car market. I think in a way, this will probably kind of have its same effect, in that people are going to start recycling their cars faster, so they don't have to pay these fees. I might as well just go buy a new one.
Well, think about it. If you say your lease, the only way you lease allotment of time, we'll say it's the old dial-up days of internet. Well, you only get 50 hours of drive time this month, something like that. And people will freak out at first, and they'll be like, what are you, 50 hours? What? But then you don't realize, well, I've got no car in my driveway. I'm only getting charged once I enter the vehicle, drive to town, or whatever it needs to do. And then you're going to get the internet, get in, you'll hear, and then you've got mail, and you'll be like, oh, where am I at? 1995 or 2025? But think about it. If they can own the vehicle completely, and then guess what? When they want to recycle the vehicle, guess where that metal goes right back to? Right back to them. They recycle their own cars. The cost to operate completely is much cheaper. But yeah, you're the tech, I'm not firing up my old Windows 3.11 or whatever PC anytime soon. And that's what's going to happen with these. But what was your story?
Is it going downtown?
Yeah. What was your story here? They were talking about?
I'm sorry.
Your story here was talking about some subscriptions.
Oh, I didn't even read the full story. I just went to the headline.
Jesus, man.
Hey, man.
I'm going to run a professional show here.
Absolutely professional.
Clearly.
But so, I think it's to your point, Dave. There's a lot of advantages for them to recycle that vehicle. All the technology stuff and the silicone, the metals and stuff like that from the electronic stuff can be recycled, reused. The metal can be recycled, reused. The rubber can be recycled, reused. The batteries can be recycled.
You'll own nothing and like it.
Yeah, absolutely. But to take it to maybe to a different level, there's and I can't think of the name of it, but there was a service, I think it was based in Atlanta, and you could pay into it much like you'd pay a lease payment on a car. And they had a fleet of vehicles, all different types of vehicles. And you could call up and you say, hey, you know what? I want the Jeep, whatever. And they deliver you the Jeep, whatever. You use it for as long as you want it. And they come and get it, and you get a car, or, whatever. And so you could keep a vehicle as long as you needed it for a period, I guess for maybe a month, or I don't know what the exact same time was, but that was that you're just paying a flat rate, covered all the maintenance.
GM messed with that. GM was with Cadillac. I want to say it was Cadillac. They did a subscription service, 18, 19, somewhere around then. They've been toying with that. I know Mercedes has toyed around with that a little bit. Yeah, you get anything they have. I forget, and it included insurance and everything. It was like, I forget, just a couple grand a month, something like that. But it was a pretty good deal.
But thinking about something like that, and maybe not at a full, keeping it permanently, but we had Jill on and Tim the other day. Jill lives in Chicago. She they have pretty good public transportation, but maybe it's something where she needs a car every once in a while, or she knows that she's going to go somewhere outside of the city, and maybe a service like that where it's not the full, get it for the month, but get it as needed kind of thing. You take it, drive it, use it for what you want, and when you come back, they come and get it, and the next time you need it, you get another vehicle you might want. I mean, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, cars are consumable. Unless there's certain models, they don't hold value.
Yeah,
they tend to depreciate. It's not like a house. It's not like real property. I mean, you throw your money away.
They're not investments.
They're not. Well, some are. I'm thinking my new Bronco might be for a period of time.
You and Dwayne.
Yeah. Until I haven't even rode it through dirt yet because I want to keep that under east side pristine.
No, you've rode it through dirt.
Oh, I have. Yeah.
You were in the Bronco Corral.
I was in the corral.
That's right, man. They had to tame you, put you in the corner,
doing donuts in the grass.
I don't think they'd allow me in their corral anymore. Not from what I've been hearing. I don't think.
Dave, come on.
No, I'm unbreakable. I'm that horse they can't break. But no, you're definitely right on that. That's Tesla said it for a while. Their end goal is you lease time with them. And which is honestly, it sounds horrible because we're of the generation that likes freedom, complete freedom. I don't want to have to wait on a car to show up, or I don't want to have to plan my day out to where I need this vehicle from this time to this time. And then of course we're going to be that last generation that actually drives vehicles too. At some point, that vehicle, that whatever you leased, is just going to show up. This pod's going to show up and take you where we want to go. But speaking of taking you where you want to go, Tim, Toyota, you brought something to my attention that I have not paid attention to, and it has to do with safety. What is going on with these Toyotas?
Looks like, although it came out yesterday.
It's old news. Never mind.
The Taco on Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday news
on Taco Tuesday.
That's a bumper music we need. Taco Tuesday news.
There you go. So it appears that they're going to be recalling nearly 75,000 vehicles for safety concerns over the anchor system for the car seats in the rear.
Are you saying young Timmy could be in an accident?
Young Timmy could be in an accident. Yeah.
And so car seat not work.
Yeah. Timmy might go flying through the windshield.
What? Not young Timmy.
No, not Timmy. But yeah, so they're apparently the welds aren't up to standards for U.S. safety specs. I don't know if there's actually any incidents or things that can be directly tied to, other than that they said the welds.
No, it would be directly tied to the car, but you're saying it's not going to be directly tied to the car.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like an anchor around your neck there, Dave.
Sure. Yeah. I'm thinking with this ship.
Yeah. But I don't think it's a big concern if you're not using the car anchoring system. So families with young children, very young children, I think
it's the Wild West, man.
I think my 4-year-old now is in a booster seat that uses the
just seatbelt.
The regular car seat car seatbelt system. So I think it's something they're going to do it on all of them, and they should. But I think the smaller number of owners is affected.
Yeah,
I mean, that's probably the right word. They're all affected, but
it's just this 2022 and 23 model
22
year,
and 23, yeah.
Which is weird. I didn't know they had 23s rolling out yet, but I guess they do have some out there, and maybe some of this is they've moved the Tacoma completely to Mexico now, So the Texas plant that was building these things, probably some part of the move. Now they've been building split in time with these in Mexico, so it's not completely new that they're building them there. But maybe it's just some little hiccup in the system it wasn't, their little computer wasn't welding right.
Could be.
A glitch in the matrix, as it were.
Possible.
But I mean, and
75,400
Toyota Tacoma pickup trucks were affected or could be affected. And you go, holy shit, that's a lot of vehicles to,
Yeah.
that they're building 250,000 of these a year. And you're like, oh, well, I mean, it sounds funny, relatively not many, but anytime you have this concern, I wouldn't want to see any child harmed because of a failure to weld something properly.
No, I don't disagree.
No young Timmy's going through the window.
Yeah, we don't want little Timmy flying through.
No, I never wore a seatbelt when I was a kid. I'm just saying. I mean,
Dave, were you one of those kind of kids that climbed up on that back deck?
Oh yeah, I
back where the speakers were
Mm-hmm.
before the third light went up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally, so I would sleep in the window. My brother will say I was the youngest. My sister was middle, and obviously older brother. And I think they were like 4 years apart, and I was 7 years apart. So young Dave always got the shit spot. There was no, it was a lot of times I could get in the floorboard because back then the floorboards were pretty flat. But no, we were going from Nashville back to our hometown in Ohio. And my dad, you were leaving at about 4:30 a.m. You were beating the traffic, man. But yeah, no, I remember being woke up many times to go back north and just miserable, and they'd throw me in the window. Perfectly fine. I do remember a few times my dad slamming on the brakes, and somehow I ended up in the back of his head, probably, or in the big sofa couch that was a front seat.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not bragging about that. Definitely safety's come a long way, and I would never put my child up in the window like that, but I survived.
Yeah. I think
they're talking about Bitcoin in the chat, man. What do we got going on here? I haven't even.
I don't know. By the way, we are not providing any investment of advice.
Well, Tim's not. I'm all about the investments.
Check with your financial.
That's right. Only risk what you can afford to risk.
Yeah.
When you buy a new Toyota Tacoma. So if you can't risk a child, consider the risk before buying the.
But the real question is, will the Tacoma make you want to torque like the Bronco will?
I don't know, man. You got a squeaky hood?
Somebody said squeaky.
Yeah, there's a lot of squeaky there. Yep. Guys, bring your questions or comments. We will wrap this up with whatever you guys want to talk about. But as far as our main topics tonight, that would be it. Been kind of a slow news week. Other than GM seemingly falling apart, and like I said, I could probably do another 4 hours on why that brand's probably failing. Torque. Let's see. Big O. Let's see what Big O's got going on here. He says, my parents had a 70-ish Ford wagon, and me and my brothers would roll around in the very back like bowling balls. I miss those days. My dad had I want to say it was like I couldn't even tell you what Cadillac it was, but I've always said I grew up pretty poor. Like we didn't have a pot to piss in a lot of times. And my dad would always get these old Cadillacs or whatever, these big boats, man. And I remember coming back from Ohio one time. I remember it being like 70 in Ohio. So this would have been springtime. Coming back to Tennessee, and it had snowed in Tennessee. And thank God it did, because the muffler was catching the floor on fire, the carpet. Something about under the exhaust and I remember there was a rust kind of, it burnt a hole in the metal or something. And I remember us stopping every so often to grab snow to put in the floorboard of that old bastard and just so he could make it home.
Big O brought up the station wagon. Did you guys have the flip up rear facing back seats?
So I didn't, but my neighbors did. My best friend growing up, his parents had whatever the Ford version of the big family truckster was like that. Yeah. And I loved we would go to town every once in a while with them. I love sitting in back of that thing, man. I thought that was like, I remember it seemed weird. You see these cars coming at you. Even as a little kid, you're just kind of like, well, this is a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. My aunt and uncle had a couple station wagons, and fond memories of like in the summertime where my parents and my aunt and uncle and me and the cousins, we would jump in the station wagon and go, somewhere to get ice cream or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always fun.
Jason Boy says we rode to Oklahoma from Alabama in the back of a
There you
'66
go.
Ford F100 with the camper shell in the summers. I did that. So my dad, when we moved to Tennessee, he'd bought, I forget, it was like a '77 Silverado that he had bought from Ohio. He bought it brand new. It was his little pride and joy. And of course, being a '70s vehicle, it already had little to no rust protection. They were using a lot of recycled metals and not getting all the rust out of it. But so by the time we got it to Tennessee, that thing was just a rust bucket, man. And I remember mid '80s, we used to go to the local lake here, and he had one of those camper shells that dropped in the back of the bed. And I remember I loved riding in the back of that thing, but I remember him taking corners and you'd fly across the hit the wall. And, those had those little sleepers that was above the cab. And I remember I would sit up there and just look out while he was driving and stuff. But I have some really good memories. Not that far, Jason, but we would get a couple hours driving to the lake and riding in the back of those things was great. Tim, any memories like that?
Yeah, we would definitely roll around the neighborhood in the pickup trucks.
Yep. In the back of them.
In the back of them, yes.
Yeah.
No capper, just
Yeah.
yeah. I lived in a fairly large neighborhood in Indianapolis, so we had like grocery stores and stuff like that.
You had
Right.
grocery stores?
Not like grocery stores, drugstores, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ice cream place just right outside the neighborhood. So
Mhm.
same thing. One of my friends' parents would swing by and pick up a truckload of kids, and we'd go off to the Dairy Queen or whatever to get some ice cream.
Yeah. No,
So
back when they were really drive-ins and stuff.
no, they were sit, but they used to have like outdoor dining areas where they'd have a bunch of picnic tables, and you would go and get your ice cream, and you could sit inside or go
Did
out.
y'all have A&Ws there?
They have popped up probably 10 or 15 years ago, but they're kind of a joint store with like a KFC or something. I think they're all owned by Yum.
But
So
the old A&Ws were, drive-ins, and we used to have one in my hometown that we would always stop at. It was really cool. They had here locally, the Dairy Queen was a drive-in like that.
I think I'm trying to remember. We have a couple local drive-ins that are still in business today, and I know in the summertime a lot of people drive their their hot rods and stuff in there to go hang out. We had it might have been an A&W. There was one I remember, kind of a drive-in ice cream place, and then there was a place called Lender's, which kind of stuck in my mind, which was also another ice cream.
I guess you just borrowed the food, huh? And eventually you turned it in.
Yeah,
So it was Lenders.
yeah, we bought it
Is
on
there
credit.
Indian givers or anything
Yeah,
next to it?
we were buying on social credit back then.
Right.
So.
Oh, you don't have enough. Sorry, you didn't get enough likes this week.
Yep.
Guys in the comments, I'm curious, what is a childhood kind of car place that you would go for food, fast food or something like that? Obviously a McDonald's is a classic, but I remember we would, in that my dad's old Chevy, we would load up a dozen kids, sit in the back of this thing. We'd go down the interstate in the back of that old truck. I remember singing when Joan Jett, what was her big song? I Love Rock and Roll.
I love rock and roll. Yeah.
I remember, what is that, 83, something like that? I remember singing that in the back of this truck going down the interstate. A bunch of us kids just, being silly, just no Nintendos, nothing. You'd look outside, look at trees as you're riding down the road. And I remember just crazy times like that. Bronco 78.
Yeah, you talking about the drive-in thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, he was mentioning that when they were kids, they used to pile up in the trunk of a car and roll into the movie theater. And I think everybody at least of probably over the age of 30 or maybe 40 has experienced that once or twice.
Yeah, we've taken my son. There's a couple drive-ins that popped up here now. I remember the local drive-in here in Murfreesboro. The last one, last movie they played was Clash of the Titans.
Wow, that's pretty old.
Yeah, I remember in the billboard, they never took down the sign of it, and it stayed up there for years, and then they, eventually they demolished it. But we have a few that's popped up now.
Yeah.
I remember taking my son to those when he was 9, 10, something like that, and he was just marveling that, this big movie was playing
Now, were
up
they
there.
revitalized movie
No, these
theaters?
are brand new
Ones, yeah. So we had some when I was a kid in Indianapolis. We used to go on a regular basis, and but I think all the ones in the city have kind of they've faded. I've got a couple down here. There's one in between Mooresville and Martinsville that's been running as long as I can remember.
Mhm.
A couple down towards Bloomington. They're still active and show movies all summer long.
Nice.
So
Big O Burger Chef, which I don't know that one. A&W Drive-In, and Frisch's Big Boy, which I remember Frisch's quite a bit.
Burger Chef was interesting. They were around as I was a kid.
Mhm.
They actually got bought out by Hardee's, which
Carl's Jr.
eventually got bought out by Carl's Jr. Yeah.
Yep.
So the Burger Chef was popular here in Indy, and then I think Big Boy is a franchise.
I
So
love
there's
that
like
joke.
Frisch's, Big Boys. There's a couple other whatever.
Because out in
Big
California, I don't think they were Frisch's. They were just Big Boys or something.
Yeah.
But I love that joke in Austin Powers where it's like talking about the big boys in the air, whatever, it blew up and it's fine. And there's like, in many ways, the big boys never left. This dude has this whole big boys joke. And I was like, nobody's ever going to get that joke, but a certain generation, is going to understand that joke. But Mobile says, the city I live near has a drive-in that survived since the 50s. That's ridiculous, man. But the 50s, man, what a crazy time period for cars. You started getting drive-ins, weird stuff that required you to use your car. The car really became a big chunk of the American life, and something about the American life with cars that no other country has. We were such a spread out country. We needed a car to get to these places. And, you take like Oklahoma, Russia has similar terrain like in Oklahoma, but guess what? Nobody lives there. Not in America. we put people there in those types of terrains. But no, what an American thing, man. Oh, a couple more. What do we got here? There's another Burger Chef. Jason Boy says, I haven't heard that name in years. Michigan still has Big Boys. I believe Ohio does as well. As far as restaurants that we would go to as a kid, I remember when we would get to about, I think it's Louisville, Kentucky, we would start seeing Bob Evans.
Yep.
And that was you were signed like, oh, we're getting near home, man, because there was Bob Evans everywhere. My hometown has Maid-Rights.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Maid-Right. We talked about that one night.
We have, but my hometown has the original Maid-Right, and it's not. There is a chain of Maid-Rights, same same type of food, but my hometown one has like one of the originals, and they're not associated with that stuff. But it was you drive, you'd wait for an hour trying to get your little pulled meat burger, whatever it is, and they would stick gum on the side of the building, and that was some classic thing that you would drive, and while you're waiting you always stuck your gum on the side of the building. And it's crazy what the cars and food and stuff, and that's a whole show, man. You could do cars and food and how they impact each other. Because I was driving, I had to take my daughter to the doctor today, and I was like, hey, we'll go get some McDonald's today. Dad hadn't had McDonald's in a long time, and used to be you'd have to go into the McDonald's to order. No, then they got drive-throughs. But now these stupid freaking apps. My wife, Kelly, bless her soul, if she's listening, hey, please don't kill me. But she has an app for every place we ever would want to stop. And she's like, hey, I'll give you a code. I'm like, what? What is this G.I. Joe all of a sudden? I've got a code name that I've got to code name Snake Eyes. Oh, he's here. Get the Big Mac out real quick. But
a coupon code.
Yeah, but
I had a discount code for everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for like a shoe to come flying from off camera. Pop you.
That's coming around the corner. But it was crazy. We were in the Bronco today, doors off, top off. By the time we got home with the food, it was cold because doors off, top off. Wasn't a smart plan, but yeah, food and vehicles, man. Crystals. Yeah, we have crystals.
Yeah. Oh, God. I tell you what, Crystal, there's that rivalry between White Castle and Crystal, and they both smell and stink and taste like shit.
Dude,
I
I
can't
used to
can't
play
stand being in the
yeah. I used to play
well,
the clubs around here, and
oh
the
yeah,
only thing would be open would be a Waffle House or Crystal.
yeah.
And so I probably had a couple pops in me, and I got done playing music, and I would always stop at Crystals on Saturday night because I'd get like a 24 sack or whatever they are. And Crystals suck no matter you eat them fresh or you can put them in the refrigerator and microwave them. They taste the same. So I would get some of those to throw in the
Yeah.
refrigerator for football. And I'll never forget, I'm in line in my little Honda Element. I'm waiting in line. The lady goes to hand me my food, and all of a sudden I get rear-ended in the drive-thru. And I put the car in park. I'm pissed off. I get out of it, and I'm looking around there at the guy, and he goes, I thought you got your food. And I was like, well, Jesus Christ, can I not get out of the goddamn like, can I pull forward before you decide to you need your I pissed that restaurant off that night because I waited for cops to get there. I left the vehicle right where he had hit me because I thought there's no way I can explain how I got rear-ended to an officer in a drive-through.
That's right. No parking on the dance floor, buddy.
Well, and then it took the cops like an hour to get there because it was late night and like 3 a.m. and they were all doing whatever they do at late nights. And I had the Crystals chicks were so mad at that drive-through, but I was like, I ain't moving this damn thing. So any crazy stories like that for you, Tim?
Actually, I have a fond memory of being in a White Castle when I was really young, and my grandfather was a deputy sheriff, and somebody had gotten lippy with him, and next thing I know, my grandpa's waving a gun around. Probably not the best White Castle to in the best part of town to go into, but yeah. That was other than that, my parents used to like to go. They would pick us up. They'd go out or whatever, do some adult activity and pick up my brother and I after they were done, and we'd fond memories of sitting in the drive-through at White Castle at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Or something
You're
like
just
that.
ready to go to bed
to get some stupid food. I just wanted to go home and go to bed. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I've had a lot of crazy times in that. And in Oldsmobile Wagon, phenomenal unit says. Let's see. We used to raid the Hot and Nows in the 90s. We would do the Sonics here. The Sonics used to actually still bring out the little window trays. And for some stupid reason, I would steal those. I had a stack of them under my bed in my parents' house. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny to just drive off with their little trays. And now they don't give you those trays.
Yeah, we had a chain here in Indiana called Dog and Suds, which was
somebody I think mentioned that in here.
Really good, really good. And they got bought out by Sonic, and then they converted them to the Sonic. The food quality wasn't. The Dog and Suds was much better, but I think more than once. With those trays in the window, I had accidentally hit the window, and it would auto go down.
Yeah,
and it would drop. It would go down, and the tray would fall out, and so have to pull out of there quickly and take off.
Yeah. Oh, I have a lot of stupid stories that are car based, man. Me and my best friend. I'm going to get Jim on here one of these days to talk about some of the stupid shit we used to do as kids. He had a little 77 Chevette, and I had a little Buick 85 Buick Skyhawk, and we were all like, you could put $10 of gas in your car for the weekend, that back when gas was under $1 and go anywhere you ever wanted to. But oh man, we played bumper cars, like not just lightly, like we would just slam it. Like we were just the dumbest kids ever with our vehicles. And I look at my son now and I'm just like, don't do the stupid shit I did.
I had a 79 Chevette.
Nice. Was it a 2-door or 4-door?
It was a 2-door.
Nice, dude.
1.6 liter in it, and that thing would light up the tires. Now it wouldn't go very fast, but it had enough torque to light up the tires.
Well, unless you turned the AC on.
And yeah. Turn the AC off. That's your turbo button.
Yeah.
I don't even think this one had an AC in it. It had AM radio. It had a little FM thing on there. The whatever the FM tuner that would rebroadcast an AM so you could listen to it.
Huh. I don't know that.
I called it the AM Jam.
AM Jam.
But and then we had the strip down on the south side of Indianapolis, and that's where everybody hang out with their cars on the weekends.
Much like the Dream Cruise that we're all going to be at.
And so that was literally, it was two roads converged into one and went down a little ways, and all the businesses, people would just pull in and they'd have their spot to hang out, and all the people would cruise, and it was quite the thing. But
Rook One,
yeah.
I'm assuming he's talking to me. He says you were not driving when gas was under $1. Gas was 89 cents when I started driving.
What year did you start driving?
89, somewhere in there.
I think I was 86.
Tennessee's always been pretty protected with the lower gas prices than really the national average, but it was 89 cents. And then when the Gulf War hit, we hit $1.20, 25, 29, somewhere in there. And I remember being like, holy shit, this is like it's taking all my money. And now I would, God, could you imagine paying $1.25 for gas?
Well, it's a funny story. I used to smoke, and I was in the other day at the grocery store, and I was just looking at like Marlboro cigarettes, and they were like $9 a pack. and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking back to when I was in the Navy. Now, at that time, I could buy what they called C-store cigarettes, and they were cigarettes that you didn't have to pay the tax on. And technically, we bought them outside of the continental United States, or out at sea in international waters. $9 a carton, $9 a carton, 10 packs for the same price as one today. But even then, not getting the C-store cigarettes, but just at the gas station, $1.50 tops a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And now they're up to 9 something. And so I'm glad I don't smoke anymore, because that goes to pay the high gas now.
Oh, my dad, since, obviously my mother passed away over a month ago, and my mom was a heavy smoker, man. And my dad's like already seeing extra money that he was like, holy cow, like that was so expensive. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to tell her, man, that, and if you guys do that, you do that. We're not bitching about that by any means, but yeah, what an expensive deal. Oh, leaded gas. Yeah. I remember going from regular gas to unleaded gas. Like that was a big deal.
People were throwing a fit back then too.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah. That was a big ordeal. Let's see.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going around about those engines that only ran on unleaded.
Yep. Oh, the ping. It's gonna ping. A lot of brands sold you on their ping-free gas and all that too. Let's see. This is a great conference. Yes, no, this is definitely Gen X talk, man. And maybe that's what we do a show next week on, is Gen X vehicles, Tim.
I'm with it.
We're both in the range of Gen X. That might be fun. We'll do a show on something like that. Let's see. I remember when gas went over $1, no pumps in my town. I had the position on the pumps. Yeah. I often think of that now with the signs. You see this interstate signs and stuff where they've only got for like up to $9 a gallon. I often think like, man, that's what are they going to do? The whole industry is going to have to pop up and fix all these signs,
Mobile Moto said, get Gen X talks father on. And that's fun. I've watched him before. That guy is hilarious. And I see a lot of me and him, or
I don't know. A YouTube channel.
It's a younger kid, but it's his dad. It's really the star of the channel.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, man. I have to go down memory lane. But there you go. So, all right, guys. So that is our show tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody who lasted this long. We kind of got into a crazy ending there, Tim. Kind of crazy. Anything going on with the overlanding for fun this week?
No, just trying to put some videos together, get stuff going out. I did open up that new shop for merch, overlandingforfun.com/shop.
I can't wait.
Pretty easy.
Bronco Santa, man. I can't wait till Christmas time. I want to see some Bronco Santa merch.
I think it's I'm gonna get with my graphics guy and see what we can do.
There you go.
Maybe do there's the Santa. They were saying Satan earlier.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe I just combine those two and kind of create a Sasquatch Krampus.
Well, more inclusive, right? We're in a world of being inclusive for everybody. So we'll get Hanukkah and everything in it rolled in there somehow. So there you go. There is a show.
Bronco
There is a
claws.
show.
There we go.
Yeah, Bronco Claws.
Yeah.
That's been trademarked by DRB and KGB Media Limited. I now own the rights to that. Sorry. But there you go, guys. So whether it be
That's okay,
two-wheel
I
drive,
hacked it.
four-wheel drive, it doesn't matter what you drive. Next week, Gen X. We're gonna do Gen X talk next week. That'll
Sounds
be
like fun.
It will be. So till next time, guys. See you Monday. I don't have anything scheduled for the rest of the week, though. Breaking news happens, I drop it. So peace.